Welcome. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We're very lucky today to have Carrie Barr with us. She is the president at Verisk Casualty Solutions. So thank you so much, Carrie, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. So first, to kick things off, can you give us a brief overview of your role and kind of how you got there?
Sure. So, as you said, I'm the president. I'm lucky enough to be the president of Verisk Casualty. I have been at the organization for 15 years, and I actually kind of landed at Verisk through an acquisition over 10 years ago. I was lucky enough to kind of fall into insurance, like I think a lot of people do after college in Pittsburgh, and ended up at a Medicare compliance company that was ultimately purchased by Verisk in 2010. And I have zigged and zagged and had the pleasure of kind of moving around that business and finding my way to the top and leading a wonderful group of people that, show up on, sadly, some people's, worst day, which is when there are casualty claims and people need to, get better. And so we empower the insurance community to make sure that people are, made whole and made well in a variety of different ways. And so that is what we do at Verisk Casualty. And thanks again for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Definitely a very important role in this industry. So first, we're going to kind of focus on some experiences that you've had in the industry. What is something that you think has had the most significant impact on you that's kind of maybe been a guiding light, or something that happened throughout your career path that got you to where you are today or provided a significant impact?
I think, I'd be lying if I said I tried to find my way into insurance. So like I said, I graduated the year of 9/11, and I thought that I was on kind of a very specific career path. I had a job with a pharmaceutical company. And by the time May came, we were kind of in a recession and my job offer was rescinded. And I didn't know where I was going to go, probably for the first time in my life at the time. And like I said, I fell into insurance and I didn't know anything about it. And I've learned so much about how important it really is. And sadly, then thinking about that time between 9/11 and today and some of the major events that have happened, you realize just how important insurance is to the sustainability of the planet that we all live on, right? And so I think the timing that it just hit me right to realize that this was a career path that there were so many opportunities in. And so while I didn't set out to go there when I graduated from college, I was so, it was perfect that I found it. And I've really enjoyed trying all sorts of different things to grow in this industry, and feel really lucky that this all happened looking backwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything happens for a reason, and it's great to really get that path going. And in regards to that, when do you think is a good time to look at changing roles or moving into a different area in the industry? Do you think there's a set time, or is it just kind of a feel it out and see?
I think when opportunity knocks, right, the best thing to do is take the leap when asked. And that means, yes, sometimes with role changes, but also just if it's a project opportunity or to lead something differently, or to, join a different association. Say yes to the things that expose you to different things, different people, different networks, because that is how you generate, different opportunities. And then when something feels right, take it, even if it's scary, even if it's 50% of what you know and the rest feels like a stretch. Those are some of the best opportunities to take. And then the other thing that I'll say is it doesn't always look linear, right? So it's not always just climbing up. I think sometimes you climb over and then up. I've done that many a time in my career, that I just kind of pivoted to learn something new, and that means lateral. And so just being willing to jump at the opportunity to do those things, even when the timing doesn't feel right, say yes.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point. A lot of people sometimes are scared to take that leap and not sure where it'll end up, but I think just taking it anyway and really seeing what's out there is great.
What's the worst that can happen? That's kind of what I play with myself sometimes. What's the worst case scenario here, really? It's not that serious most of the time. And sometimes, yes. And if it's life and death, let's think really far around, but that's not what this is most of the time. And so take the leap, do the project, learn, and then go and ask for help. That's the other thing I found. There is never a situation in my 20 plus years in this business that I haven't had a really good network wherever I worked, where people that were willing to help me, or vendor partners, or whatever it is, right? That can prop you up and and help you when you find something that you feel like you don't know how to tackle, which goes back to the idea that you really do need to have a nice network of people so that you can lean on them when maybe you bit off a little more than you can chew, or you find your place, your time and space where it's just too much, right?
Yeah, that's a great point also. You have to always have people around you. You can't do it alone, and
Exactly.
absolutely. Yeah. What is just one, or not one, but what is a piece of information that you wish you would have known starting out or early in your career that if you could go back, you would tell yourself?
That it'll be okay, that it isn't all that serious. It is, like I don't want to underplay it. I have a 13-year-old son. I certainly want him to be serious about his future and understand that there are consequences to actions. But at the same time, life has a way of working out, and life has a way of presenting itself in a way that it makes sense, right? And the opportunities are there. And if you take that leap, and even if it's not the right one, it tends to put you on the path to something bigger and better anyway. And when you look backwards on your life, it all does make much more sense. And so give yourself the freedom to fail, and don't get so anxious about every little thing, because it really will be okay. And the older I get, the longer in my career I get, I realize the big things when they do happen, and unfortunately they do, it puts things into perspective. But you don't have that perspective when you're first coming into your career. And so I wish I could have injected some of that into a young Carrie, because it would have saved me, hours of sleepless nights and a lot of anxious mornings, right? To realize, take a breath. Everyone's really here, just people, making it through.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point to end on, I think. So thank you so much for joining us. This was some great information, nice little tidbits of knowledge. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Take care.
Thanks, you too.